Hello and Merry Christmas, my YouTube historians, and welcome back to another episode of History Abridged. In today's episode, we're going to cozy into the Christmas spirit and explore just a pinch about what we know of the season's jolliest old mystery. That's right, none other than Father Christmas, Kris Kringle, Old Saint Nick, Santa Claus himself. So grab some hot cocoa, turn on your Christmas tree lights, and get ready as we go back all the way to 280 AD. The legend of Santa Claus finds its origin in the 3rd century town of Myra, which is in modern-day Turkey, with a Christian bishop named Nicholas. Nicholas was known as a very pious and generous monk who had given away all of his personal inheritance to the poor. The most notable story of Nicholas's generosity was when he heard of a man who had 3 young daughters who had no dowries. During this time period, if a girl had no money for a dowry, she could not marry, and was then forced into slavery or demeaning forms of labor. Nicholas, being moved with compassion, snuck into their home one night and found the girls' stockings. He slipped enough money into each girl's stocking that she would have a dowry, and then, as silently as he had entered, he vanished away into the crisp Turkish night. Another tale heralds Nicholas as having stopped a violent storm in the middle of the sea, which saved a group of sailors from certain death. Nicholas was made the patron saint of children and sailors, notably because of these two events, though he also became the patron saint of pawnbrokers and wolves. For that, your guess is as good as mine. But how did we end up calling Saint Nick Santa Claus? And what about the elves, and the reindeer, and the North Pole? Well, for all of those details, we're going to have to skip ahead to the Middle Ages. When the tales of a generous old bishop wisping in and out of homes in the middle of the night, leaving coins and figs in children's stockings, made its way to Northern Europe, it sounded very, very similar to a tale that the Norsemen told about the Wild Hunt. The Wild Hunt was a ghostly procession which, supposedly, could only be seen soaring through the night sky during Yuletime. This procession was often portrayed as being led by Woden, also known as Odin, the Norse god of war, who had a long white beard, ruddy countenance, and a magical horse that could fly, sort of like Santa's reindeer and the reindeer that many Norsemen kept as livestock. It was among these Dutch stories that rumors of old Saint Nick sailing into harbor with elves and bags full of goodies for boys and girls began to spread like wildfire. The Dutch gave St. Nicholas the nickname Sinterklaas, which was shortened for St. Nicholas. Perhaps it was the northern European weather that so conditioned Santa for his inevitable life in the North Pole. Some decades went by with the celebration of Christmas and Yule in all their grand variations, as so too did Santa Claus take on many different names and traditions. St. Nicholas perfectly adapted to whatever the boys and girls across the globe needed him to be to make their Christmases perfect. And then in 1773 and 74, Dutch immigrants moved to New York and celebrated Sinterklaas in that historic state. In 1804, John Pentard gave out woodcuts of Sinterklaas to his colleagues in the New York Historical Society, which further depicted Santa as a large Dutchman leaving stockings full of treats over fireplaces. In 1809, Washington Irving depicted Santa Claus as the patron saint of New York in his book, The History of New York. American newspapers and printers couldn't get enough of the Dutch's Sinterklaas, and soon American slang transformed Sinterklaas into Santa Claus. From there, Santa Claus became part of every year Christmas tradition. From mall Santas to Christmas hymns and all other kinds of variations, everyone celebrates Santa as being part of Christmas. There's a lot more to know about Santa Claus and all the many different ways that people all around the world include him in their Christmas and Yuletime traditions, but that's all we can cover today. Well, I hope you learned something from this video, and if you did, please remember to like it and subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about Santa and other Yuletime traditions. And as always, this is History Abridged.